Hey there, my name's Gelsey, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the top 10 mistakes I personally made as a young performer. You know, sometimes saying yes to everything and working yourself until you get sick isn't always the best move. By sharing these mistakes, hopefully I can help you avoid some of them or maybe rethink about how you navigate this tricky world of entertainment. With over 17 years of professional experience in the entertainment world, I have done almost everything a live performer can, from theme parks to cruise ships to national tours to flying high with Cirque du Soleil. Before I get started with my top 10 list, make sure you like the video and subscribe down below so you don't miss any new content I have coming your way. And now, my mistakes. Let's get counting down. Starting with number 10, not finding a good work-life balance. Although this career does demand a lot of your time and it does ask for a lot of sacrifice, it's really important to find that work-life balance. I tended to lean a little too much towards work. And again, you know, it's how you raise to the top is that huge sacrifice. I'm not saying that's not the way to go, but there are going to be those milestone life events that, you know, you really got to try to be at, be it your sister's wedding, which I almost missed mine, the birth of a new child, the passing of a family member. It's important to differentiate, you know, a friend's birthday get together that you'll probably have to miss because you got to perform versus something that is what is going to be talked about for the rest of your life. When I was in Montreal creating a new show for the company Cirque Eloise, I was there for 5 months and I almost completely had to miss my sister's wedding, who, by the way, my sister is my best friend. I was able to fly out the night before, landing at 1 a.m. Next morning, I was up at 6 in hair and makeup. Wedding went down. The next morning, 7 a.m., I was back in a car to the airport to go back. I missed the rehearsal dinner. I missed the day after brunch. I had to do what I had to do because that's the only day the contract gave me. But, you know, I really do look back and regret that I wasn't there for such a huge family event. And, you know, again, a life milestone. So families forever, friends are long lasting. Sometimes you have to make sure they have an equally as important part in your life as your performance career. Because when the career's not happening, they will be there to support and catch you. Take my word. Mistake number 9, saying yes to everything. Now, this one's a really hard one to navigate for 2 reasons. Number 1, as performers, we absolutely love what we do. So anytime someone says, hey, I have an opportunity for you to perform, of course we want to say yes. Also, sometimes our friends ask us as favors and, you know, it's hard to let our friends down. And then lastly, you know, we're trying to get as many new experiences, especially if you're a young performer, so you can build up that credit, network, resume, etc. Which it's so important to do that, but you do kind of have to find that fine line of what to say yes to and when to say no to. Rest is so important in this industry, and this will kind of intertwine with a later mistake, but you got to make sure you're giving yourself, again, that personal lifetime, rest time outside of working on projects. And, you know, saying yes to everything will eventually spread yourself too thin, which will lead to burnout, injury, etc. And it will lead to depression. I've been there. Trying to start off in the beginning when you're a newer performer, I definitely encourage you to say yes to as many projects as you can handle. Figuring out what that means to you, that's going to take some time to figure that out. And that's personal for everybody. Some people can handle a bigger workload, but do not think that you have to handle as much as your neighbor does. You know, it's totally a personal experience of what works best for you. And if you stay true to that, you're going to be just fine, I promise. Mistake number 8, not negotiating contracts. Oh man, I wish I would have realized that this is something you could even do at such an earlier stage in my career. You know, this comes kind of back to the saying yes to everything. I think as performers, we have this mentality that because there's so many of us lined up around the corner for the job, we're so easily replaceable. But you gotta remember that you personally have so much value and worth. If you're having a contract offered to you, the company already wants you. So it's okay to negotiate. You know, when it comes to contracts, it's now business. It has nothing to do with if they're gonna like you. And most importantly, something I used to actually believe is that if I asked for more money, they would completely retract the whole contract and not give me anything. That's not gonna happen, y'all. Like gals, oh baby gals, I wish I would have known. The worst they can say is, sorry, no, what we're offering you is the best we can do. Then okay, decide if that's good enough for you to take that pay for that contract. The first time I ever actually negotiated was my Cirque du Soleil contract. I had a friend say that he had a lawyer negotiate his contract, which, hold the press. You could get a lawyer. There are lawyers for big contracts, yes. And it was the best decision I ever made. It got me starting at a higher pay point, and then every year on top of that, when I got a raise, it was from that point. Thank God I got that. It was the best thing I ever did. And getting a lawyer, I wasn't having to be the business bad guy trying to ask for more money, which I'm a bit of a people pleaser, so I do struggle with that. But again, I think a lot of us performers do, we're very, excuse my French, bend over and take it. Where would you like it? That's just how we're taught. But remember, you have value. It's okay to ask for it. Mistake number 7, ignoring the importance of networking. I feel like it's such a joke that it's like in show business, it's all who you know, but it really is. Of course, your talent's going to get you jobs. Of course, your working reputation is going to help you get jobs. Trust me, that's very important. But you also have to know the people. I've gotten down to final calls in New York where, it's 5 girls left in the room, and they're going to go with the person that they kind of personally know for some reason, be it they went to a workshop they taught and had a little bit of one-on-one time. If I was a director, a casting director, choreographer, and I'm looking at someone and I might have already known someone a little better, I kind of can vouch for their personality or their work ethic. So it really helps. If you know that there's a choreographer that you are dying to be in their work, but you see they're teaching classes, go take their class. And it's not just about showing your face once. Networking definitely takes time. You have to continuously show your face and show these people you want this and you are there to work. It could be casting director workshops that are held, classes, showing face at other people's shows and trying to introduce yourself. It's a little scary breaking through that wall and can feel embarrassing going up on a cold opening saying, "Hi, I'm Gelsey." You get used to it. It's something the more you do, you get more confident. And then as the longer your career goes and the more work you have to back yourself up, you definitely start building that confidence. I know now I can securely go up to someone and say, "Hi, I'm Gelsey, and I've had a baller career. I want to meet you." Trust me, 5 years ago, my tail was between my legs. It took me a long time to get that confidence, but it is so important in this whole career, but especially with networking. I also want to make a little note here. There is a fine line between confidence and cocky. Don't get those confused. Mistake number 6. This one kind of breaks my heart, but being too hard on yourself. Yeah, it is such a real thing. I was so hard on myself and so negative and pushed myself. I used to think when I was younger that was like my grit. That was the thing that I was so hard on myself that I was my own personal coach and motivator and played all the roles. And that's how I got up, trained, got to those auditions, you name it. But, it didn't have to be in such a self-destructive way. You can do it in a very loving way. Of course, there's going to be days that's hard and you're going to get down on yourself. But just remember, at the end of the day, you have you. And you gotta love yourself. I get really sad. I read back on some journals from my time in New York training, on cruise ships. And as much as I was happy performing, I think there definitely was this self relationship that was very toxic with myself. And this was about the same time as I was heavily in my eating disorders and kind of drowning in that. And that was just not giving myself that grace. If I still did this with so much grace and self-respect and love, I still would have been just as successful because I loved doing it and I still had such a passion and joy for it. So I really do look back and it's like, as much as I have so many happy memories and I'm so proud of myself, I wish I was nicer to myself and gave myself a break. It's a journey. And I know it's so cliche. It's like, it's not about the destination, it's the journey, but it's so true. I can tell you on top of the many mountains I've climbed, it's like the stories I held dearest and the things that really make my life rich and full and me who I am is the climb. And so it's just like, give yourself that grace of being curious about it, going forward with curiosity and knowing that you're learning as you're going. You're not supposed to be the best when you're here. I mean, even now, I'm here starting this YouTube channel. I can get a little hard on myself. This is new to me. But I'm now in a place where I'm like, I'm going to do this with curiosity. I wonder how I'm going to figure this out. I wonder how I'm going to make my next video. Instead of thinking it should be perfect, how could it be? I'm still starting out. You know what I mean? So just every decade, every day, every week, every year, whatever you want to measure your life in, you're always growing. And so there's always going to be this development. And so it's like how fun we get to go through this with ourselves and see where we're going to go and see how we grow and learn. And could I say grow one more time? Yeah, it's all about growth. I know. But it's seriously like, it's just, it can really be the downfall. And it's unfortunate because I feel like this has a lot of ties on why you do see a lot of people in the performance world with extreme depression or alcoholism or eating disorders, and sometimes end, really tragically. Some celebrities we see, it's a lot more mixed in, but there's just such a mental health at play. So definitely prioritize that self-love. It's so important. We are on to mistake number 5, and this one is not saving enough money. Oof. It's really difficult in this career because a majority of the work is going to be freelance. Even if you get a year-long contract, you're not guaranteed that they're going to re-sign you, the show's going to continue, or that you'll be happy performing in whatever that contract is. So you always want to make sure that some of these contracts, be it overseas at an international theme park, a cruise ship, national tour, whatever, work on a budget when you get that initial payment. Figure out how much you're going to need day to day to survive. A lot of these provide housing, give you per diem, so there's no rent, no food, and then figure out what you can put away, because having that cushion after a contract to find the next contract, oh my gosh, it's a lifesaver. I have done it before. When I finished cruise ships, I definitely walked away with a cute chunk, and that gave me the complete cushion to go to New York for 3 months, train, and go to every single audition instead of having to miss auditions because I got to go wait tables. I'm all about the hustle. I did a lot of odd jobs, but the same happened in Vegas. When I moved to Vegas, I had enough money to train all day, every day, and not have to worry about this extra income coming in for a couple months. And that gave me the opportunity to get to the level of Cirque du Soleil. So even though I have done it, there were plenty of contracts I walked away from and didn't have as much money as I would have liked to continue on farther. I feel like this happened to a lot of us, but the pandemic was a great example of, I think a lot of us performers realized we didn't actually have the savings that we wish we did because there was no work for a long time. Another thing I wish I learned, even though sometimes I was good about saving the money, I wish I would have learned more about investing. So I could have taken a huge chunk of what I did make and had it made more money for me. Like, hello. This is just a life lesson 101 for everybody. Money is going to help all of us, but especially in a career like this where the work is very inconsistent, you never know when it's going to be a good season or bad season. This is a huge one to just give you that stress relief and that time to keep hustling and pushing forward. Mistake number 4, not prioritizing my health. Oh, this is probably, I'm going to say, my number 1 piece of advice. Like, if you can walk away with something, put your health first, because without good health, you do not have your instrument to work. And that's if you're a dancer, a singer, an ice skater, an actor. It doesn't matter what you do. We all need our health just to live. I, again, definitely worked myself to the bone. I would work. Even if I felt a little something come on, I was like, I'm fine, pop some pills, like Dayquil, that's what I'm talking about, and go to the gym. But eventually my body would catch up with me and I would get the flu and be in bed for almost 2 weeks sometimes. Like, my body would crash so hard, or I'd get injured. Your body will tell you when it's time to stop if you don't stop at the appropriate times. And I did have this invincible in my young 20s, like, well, I can handle it. I can handle injuries. I can handle sickness, like, whatever. So what? So my body stops me when it stops me, but it catches up. I promise. I still have a very weak immune system and dealing with it now in my 30s. It sucks. And you really do. Again, it's just so hard when you're in it, because when you're young, you do think you're invincible. But as injuries, start coming more and more, you realize you're not. And, there is a mortality to us, and we got to take care of ourselves. And this isn't even just with proper rest It's with proper nutrition. Again, I will have a whole separate video getting really deep and dark into my history with eating disorders, but that was not me properly taking care of myself. And this kind of ties into with that self-love and not being so hard on myself. If I'd really given myself that space, loved myself, I wouldn't have tried to find that edge and control over myself to not eat properly. And that's not prioritizing my health. I was malnutritioned, under eating, throwing up. It's not good. And then going out and dancing as much as I was, again, I was sick a lot. Not cool. So really make sure you prioritize your health. This is where it can get a little fuzzy because I'm going to say, have a life-work balance. So it's like go out with your friends, have a social life. But sometimes it's like don't stay out and drink and party. You need to make sure you're sleeping because it is about the art. And then also don't overtrain and don't be in that world too much, So it's finding the balance of work, rest, play. They're all so important, but you got to make sure that you're on the right balance because, again, it catches up. Mistake number 3, comparing yourself to others. Ooh, this one runs deep. This literally is an industry where outside of your own will, you are constantly being compared to others. If you go to a cattle call at an audition, you get lined up and based on looks, you get cut. So it's hard not to look to the person next to you and go, well, why did they get kept and I didn't? Is it the way they look? Is it their body type? Is it their hair? Oh my gosh, they're probably a better dancer and they just know it. Or, you can't do that. It's so much easier said than done, I know, because again, you're in classes, you're training next to these people, you're doing scenes with them, whatever your art and craft of performing is, you're constantly surrounded by people that do what you do. And again, you're auditioning for parts. It's hard not to do it, but that's such it's something you just have to decide to let go and go, they're on their journey, I'm on mine. I am good, I have value, and the right project will come my way that I'm perfect for. There are hundreds of auditions I've been to. I didn't book it, and that's okay. Every audition was a learning experience and just gave me that much more of an edge on my craft to be ready for the next gig. It is very difficult because these things, again, do lead to prioritizing health, not loving yourself enough, because if you start comparing yourself to others, that's where you're going to just start self-deprecating and being hard on yourself. You're going to start trying to get your body to look like other people's, which it's not possible. You're two different people. So just really try to bask in your individuality and what makes you you. And there will be the perfect role, the perfect show, the perfect opportunity for you. I promise. Mistake number 2. Not speaking up for myself. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about with saying yes to everything. You kind of feel like there's so many other people in line for this job. I'm so replaceable. So I just have to go with the flow. But that's not how change is made. And companies don't even think about your safety sometimes. I hate to say that, but there is the littlest things that if you need something, you have to speak up and be your own advocate. There is nobody around you on your team except for you. And companies, if they're doing something the way they've always done it, they will continue to do it that way. This could be as simple as your shoes. If you don't have the right shoes for a performing opportunity, if you're a dancer and your shoes are not safe or they don't fit you properly or they're hurting you, they won't know that until you say, hey, I need new shoes. This is ruining not only my feet, my knees, my back. I've been there. These are dangerous. I'm going to sprain my ankle. Now, this is aside from like if you're a dancer and you get a role in heels, you do need to learn how to dance in heels for certain jobs. So that's on you, boo. But you know what I mean? We had open-toed shoes in situations where we definitely shouldn't have. I had to fight for better shoes on a show that I was on a steel stage jumping around for 4 hours, and it completely destroyed my knees. That was at a theme park. I won't say which one, but cruise ships was a huge one. Sometimes we really had to band together as a cast. We did fight for new shoes. Shoes you'll see are a big theme. If you don't have the right footwear, oh my gosh, it just so many problems. Like talk about, I've definitely sprained my ankle. But I sprained my ankle for a different reason on cruise ships. They would sometimes try to get our smaller theme night performances that are done around the ship, to be done in different venues that we weren't actually supposed to do them in those venues. So I remember one time we did a show that was set for the nightclub setting, and they, for some reason, were like, you're doing it in the atrium tonight. And we weren't that comfortable with it. and the floor was really slippery. The staging was weird, and I did end up getting hurt that night. I sprained my ankle because I think I went for something and people were there, and I was in terrible shoes, also that contract. So it led to me being injured, and I had to miss out on about 6 weeks of work. Yeah, I had to fly home. It wasn't fun. So you really have to make sure to speak up for yourself. And the number one thing you're going to speak up for is safety. Last but certainly not least, mistake number 1, not defining your own success. I've had this conversation with so many of my friends in the performing world, and it is such a huge theme for all of us. We define our success by these external validations. I won't be successful until I get that job, till I'm on that stage, till I get a certain amount of followers. There's so many factors in today's world outside of the performing world that add into all of this. If you don't define what success for you means, you'll constantly be searching and struggling with feeling like you are enough. You can't put all your eggs in the basket of, if I don't get this one thing, then I fail. Because then what's the point, I mean, I was talking to a friend, we were at theme parks, and there is definitely a stigma around theme parks to some people, like, oh, theme parks, you work at a theme park. And if you haven't watched my video on my whole career story, I started at theme parks, and the last performing job I did was theme parks. And it was an interesting full circle that came back around. And I was there and I was like, this is not, oh God, I'm back where I started. Like, I'm performing professionally. I'm doing what I love and I'm getting paid. I was like, why is this any different? Or why does this have to be any different than, oh, I'm on Broadway, or I got to be in that movie, or this? Now, I'm all about having goals. My goals were big, and I'm such a huge advocate for trying to achieve them. That's not my point. My point is, you shouldn't feel like a failure because you're not doing XYZ. Because I will tell you right now, if you don't find a definition in your own success and fulfillment, you will always be in lack of. Even when you get to the big, this is when I make it, you'll get complacent. And that's what happened to me at Cirque du Soleil. That was my number 1 dream job. Couldn't believe I got it. I still pinch me now. But a year and a half in, it wasn't enough. I started feeling like a failure. I felt like because I wasn't training and striving for this new mountain to climb, that I was, again, failing at my dream job. Like, hello, it's insane, but it will just train you to never be satisfied. You should always stay hungry, always want to grow and learn, but you gotta find contentment and satisfaction in your work and be proud, No matter how you're performing, you are performing, and that's awesome. Well, there you have it. Those are my top 10 mistakes I made as a young performer. I've definitely gone through a lot of growing pains with these, and they have made me who I am, but I wish I would have known then what I know now. Because honestly, at the end of the day, it wouldn't have changed my success in my career. I think I would have had the exact same career. I think I just would have done it with better health, better self-love, more grace, and a good, well-balanced life. And that's the key to success. I hope you liked today's video. I hope you have some kind of takeaway lesson that can help you out, or, make you not feel so alone in trying to navigate all this crazy world, again, we call entertainment. If you could help me out and press like on this video, and don't forget to subscribe so you can get more videos about the entertainment world coming your way. I've got some videos coming of some crazy stories of my experiences I've had. They're fun. Thanks for joining again. Bye.